Hey guys, welcome back to Young Americans Abroad, your best place for weekly content on young American soccer players playing overseas. My name's Austin Van Churen.
And my name's Patrick Ferri.
And as always, welcome to our show. Well, guys, it's good to have you back for another episode this week. Isn't that right, Pat?
That's right, Austin. We got plenty to talk about. Really excited to dive into it in this week's episode.
That's right. So first, we want to talk about a big Revierderby win for one of our American stars over in Germany.
And two American defenders in the English Championship helped their clubs avoid relegation with solid performances.
And also this week, we had an American in Denmark finally get back on the score sheet. So all that and more in this episode. So to start off our episode today, we want to talk about Weston McKennie, who started and played 77 minutes in Schalke's big Revierderby win over Dortmund 4-2 this past weekend. So Pat, it was a really interesting game. It saw Dortmund go up early and then Schalke equalize and then actually come back and take the lead before having two red cards called against Dortmund, kind of in like the 60th minute, I believe, in like the 66th. And then Schalke was able to put the finishing touches on the game, and Dortmund actually got a goal back too. But, a big win, Pat, for Schalke and also Weston McKennie.
That's right, Austin. And what did you think? That was a little brutal, that Royce red card maybe? I can't argue with the Wolf one, but that seemed a little harsh.
Yeah, I thought the Royce one, I guess in looking back in like replay, it was deserved, but in like the regular flow of the game, I thought it should have been maybe just a yellow. You could tell that Marco meant, or he knew that he was going into a tackle that could have resulted in a card, but at the same time, I don't think he really crushed the player's leg. He just kind of grazed it when he went in, but. Nonetheless, it was a tackle that he really shouldn't have put in, and he was susceptible to getting a red card from the tackle. So, it is what it is, and
gotta live with it.
Yeah, and in this game, Dortmund started off really well, but then kind of were neutralized by Schalke, which was very surprising. And Schalke didn't play. I wouldn't say they played better than Dortmund on the day, although the game, like we said, drastically changed around the 60th minute with those red cards. But I think definitely Schalke deserved the result they got. It's disappointing for Dortmund because now they dropped some points, even though Bayern dropped points this weekend. But it's a pretty big win for Schalke.
Yeah, that's huge, Austin. Doesn't that keep McKennie and the Schalke out of, hopefully out of a relegation there or that playoff spot?
Yeah, so I don't believe it's guaranteed yet, but it's almost guaranteed that they won't be getting relegated this season. So, it's a big result, and it's, a result on the road against their arch rivals. So there's not really, anything better that you could hope for.
That's right. And Austin, I know McKennie's played all over the earth, and I wasn't able to catch the game, but was he deployed in the midfield or was he more of an outside back again?
Yeah, so that's a good question. He was deployed in the midfield in his normal, I guess you would call it like a number 8 position, kind of a box-to-box position in this game. And, at times he looked good, but then there were some times in this game where he got dispossessed and then also just didn't look like extremely good defensively, or I guess effective defensively. In this game, because Dortmund's a very good team and they posed a good challenge, at least in the first half, for Schalke. And I wouldn't say it was one of Weston McKennie's best games, but he definitely was a reason why they were able to get the win on the day. And yeah, I mean, this is a big game. It's a game that these two teams kind of wait the whole season for whenever they come around. So the fact that Schalke were able to get a win, I'm not too disappointed in Weston's, I would say, not stellar play on the day.
Right.
But,
yeah, I mean, on the one end, Pulisic, he's leaving for Chelsea anyway, but
Right.
Unfortunately, I didn't get the points. But on the other side, you do look, like you said, McKennie, and it is exciting to have Americans on each side in this really exciting, historic derby.
Yeah, and this will be, like you said, the last time we'll see Christian Pulisic facing off against Weston McKennie. So it was definitely an action-packed game, and we saw both of the players play in this game. So, I wish they both would have started, and I wish they both, would have maybe played a bigger role in the game. But hey, it was good to see them both on the field, and it's gonna be sad to see Christian leave at the end of the year.
It's gonna be weird, Austin. It's just a complete change. This is the unknown. This is where he kind of made himself in Europe.
Right. Yeah, it's almost like a passing of the guard, or like a chapter coming to an end, which I guess you could definitely say it is for Christian. But yeah, it's just gonna be weird not having, that big star who kind of came through in the Bundesliga anymore. But hey, now we got a few more in the Bundesliga at the moment, and a few more in academies who are hopefully gonna rise up the ranks and kind of take the throne, or be the players that Christian passes the mantle over to. So
right, yeah, he's setting an exciting path there for the rest of the players, and we'll get another big star in the Premier League to talk about.
Yeah, and that's going to be awesome too. So as much as it sucks to see Christian leave Dortmund, it's going to be even cooler to see him playing, hopefully regularly for Chelsea this next season. So yeah, the one other thing I guess we should mention while we're on Schalke is that there's a rumor out there, Pat, and that rumor would be that David Wagner, or David Wagner, however you want to say it, whether you're German or American, could potentially be Schalke's new coach next year, or at least that's what's being reported by some of the media outlets there over in Gelsenkirchen. So Pat, what do you think about David Wagner, potentially being Weston McKennie's manager next year?
If my initial reaction, Austin, it's pretty positive. I'm a big fan of Wagner. I know I was a little critical just of his time at Huddersfield, and it was a tough situation, but maybe it is the Klopp bias. I know he's good friends with Klopp. I think, random fact, I think he was actually maybe his best man, or vice versa, something like that.
I think so, yeah.
But it's just funny stat. But I know, Klopp surrounds himself with very smart, like-minded football, people, and Wagner definitely has some interesting tactics, and you could see him getting, passionate and fired in the sidelines, trying to rally his team up. And he's kept them, I think it was the year before, kept them from relegation.
Right.
So, I mean, he has some good strengths to him, and it'd be really exciting to see him, back in Germany as he's gotten some more management experience with a team that's definitely a step up. But what are your thoughts, Austin?
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of, on board with everything that you just said. I think it would be a good move for Schalke because they're kind of reeling at the moment. And I think it would be a good move for Weston McKennie because, he is American. And he also likes that high pressing style of play. And I think that would suit Weston McKennie, real well, and would allow him to kind of thrive in the middle for Schalke. So, the American connection and then also the style of play, I think, is a big reason why I'm really on board with this move.
Yeah, that'd be really exciting, and just popped in my mind too. Maybe I'm not sure. Again, his philosophy on youth players and stuff would be interesting to see. Kind of maybe if he can push some of our other Americans in the flanks in the academies there up to the first team for Schalke if we see that happen. Yeah,
I mean, we just saw one Schalke Academy player leave, but I guess the other player that you're talking about would be Nick Tatagwe or Tatagwe. So yeah, that would definitely be really cool. He's got to stay healthy first for that to happen. But that would definitely be interesting. Hopefully, we get more Americans over to Schalke America, the Schalke Academy. So like you said, Pat, I think that would be a great move. So we'll have to see what Schalke do over the summer, and we'll keep you guys updated. So now let's go over to England and talk about a player who we've been talking about for the past few episodes. And Pat, who would that be?
In Austin, that would be none other than Matt Miazga. So Miazga has been lighting up the championship, Austin, with a really stellar performance. Unfortunately, the side lost to Middlesbrough 2-1. However, I guess there's been some other results in the championship towards the bottom that have kept them safe. So congrats to Miazga and the gang at Reading for avoiding relegation.
Maybe soon, Andrea Novakovic.
Yeah, maybe soon. Yeah, that's another interesting take. I've been hearing, don't want to get sidetracked, but I've been hearing maybe Reading want to keep him there. So that'd be interesting.
Right.
Yeah. But on the defensive end here, again, some exciting stats just overall in the past month for Miazga. He, out of championship defenders, has been first, Austin, in aerial duels. No surprise there. He's been dominant in that category, from all the other loan moves we've seen in the past, especially this one here. And it's interesting. So 18 players in the championship, this might get a little confusing, have 75%, or more of their passes completed. So Miazga is one of those 18. And so of those 18, there's only 2 players that have had 50% of their 75% passes, not just completed, but also forward. So, a key passer kind of creating in the offense and not just playing back passes to the goalie, things like that. So Miazga is one of those 2 players, which is definitely exciting to see him, building out of the back, taking risks and playing those key balls to help, Reading prevent from relegation and performing much better the second half of the season.
Yeah, that's a really interesting stat too. And that kind of just shows how willing he is to kind of try those, those long passes or just those passes forward ahead, those ones that, he's trying to break lines with.
Yeah, exactly. And it makes me, want to put a few hot takes out here as I, again, would really like to see him. I think he's getting to that, that age where he's, maybe only a few years off from his prime. And he's been, bouncing around some teams in Europe. He had a really strong loan at Vitesse and not so great at Nantes, but now really picking it back up with Reading. So he's, had an interesting career and really dominant, at least this half of the year. And I would really, really like to see him maybe go to Germany. I know it's been floated out there on Twitter, a mid or lower level team in the Bundesliga, or maybe this is a long shot, but a low-level team in the Premier League. I know we've kind of had some little different opinions, which is always good, exciting, of where Miazga is. I just don't want him to stagnate. I want him to, get to that next level and not just kind of settle for being a really good championship player. But maybe that's asking too much, and maybe I'm a little too hopeful, but that was my, I guess, thought process.
Yeah, I mean, I like your aggressiveness or your hopeful ambition for Matt Miazga. But I'm going to go a different angle, Pat. I think I would like to see him kind of stay in England and maybe get a shot at a championship team that's vying for promotion next year, or at least is a team that's well set up, and he could be a player that is like that last key piece that they need to really make a run at the Premier League. I think that would definitely be another loan. I don't think he would get a permanent move if he went to the championship. I could be wrong, but that's just my thoughts. I think playing in England has kind of given him more visibility, and it's allowed him to kind of open his options more, and it's allowed teams to really kind of see what type of player he is and maybe respect him some more. So that's kind of my reasoning for why I'd like to see him stay in England. But
absolutely, and Austin, those are all valid points. And I definitely do agree with some points for sure. I think, again, staying in a team and vying for, on the other side, not on a relegation threatened team, but someone vying for promotion would put a new, I guess, unique pressure on him as a player, and to see how he kind of performs on that upper echelon of the championship teams. Those are good points, and we'd love for you guys, whatever you think. If you think Miazga deserves a Prem move, like I'm mentioning, or and Bundesliga, another league, or if you think Austin's viewpoint, I'd love to hear it in the comments below or on social media.
I think he should go to La Liga, Barcelona.
Maybe Levante with Shaq more.
Oh, no, definitely not there. I think we could all agree. No other American player should really step foot into the Levante side.
Yeah, have to be there with you. And also just want to quickly note, too, so we're just talking about his contract and loan moves. He's got one more season, I believe. So once the season's over, one more with
for Chelsea.
Okay. So obviously hopefully he'll be going out on loan. And maybe they want to keep him in England. We're not sure. And maybe, like you said, more visibility in the championship to help see his stock rise. I don't know what they would do. Maybe extend the contract or, try to get his, value up or let him go for free. I'm not sure they want to do that. I'm just kind of, I guess, interested to see how it all plays out.
Yeah. And the summer will be interesting because, we're talking about Matt Miazga here. Also Cameron Carter-Vickers will probably be looking to go on loan again, if not, make a move permanent. Antonee Robinson, who I think we'll get to here in a few minutes, will also be, probably looking for another loan. So, a lot of Americans on the move this summer, it seems like. So
that's right, Austin. Yeah, a lot of movement in the championship. So, good luck to or congrats to Miazga for helping Reading avoid relegation there. So, and also destroying that inflatable. What was it, Austin?
I think it was like a dinosaur.
Dinosaur. I figured we want to throw that out there. If you haven't checked that out on Twitter, a quick little GIF for highlight. That's pretty hilarious.
Yeah, fans weren't very happy with him for doing that. So.
No, I heard on the other side of the away stands, the Reading was chanting "USA, USA." So all the best for Miazga this season. But want to shift gears, Austin, to another player that we're excited for his long-awaited return to the starting lineup here.
That's right, and that would be Jonathan Amon, who actually started and scored for Nordsjælland today after playing 75 minutes in their unfortunate 2-1 loss to Midtjylland. So this was actually a game in the Superligaen Championship playoff. So if we have this right, Pat, and correct me if I'm wrong, because I think we figured it out before the show, but basically in the Superligaen over in Denmark, you'll play a 26-game regular season, and then the top 6 teams will be split up or split apart from the rest of the field, and will kind of play their own, I guess, championship playoff. And they'll basically play 10 games. So this was one of those 10 games. And at the moment, Nordsjælland's sitting in 6th out of 6 teams, and they don't look like they're going to make a climb anytime soon. So.
Yeah, I know you were saying there's a point differential. And just quickly, I want to say it's very similar for all you guys, too. Like Austin said, the format is very similar to the Belgian playoffs as well, if you follow that league. So they're both pretty similar in those regards.
Okay, that's good to know. Yeah, because we've seen a few Americans even right now playing over in Belgium, and have probably taken part in that playoff. So, yeah, it's good to see Jonathan back. This was his first start actually in 2019, which is a little bit surprising, and that was basically because at the beginning of 2019, it seemed like he got moved to the bench at least for a period of time, and then I believe when he went to play with the U20s in March, he got injured and then was out for a little bit of time, and then finally came back, I think, like 2 weeks ago, and made, I think it was 2 appearances off the bench, and then finally started this game. And he looked good in this game, Pat. He scored a goal, which is always great, and the goal was a pretty high-quality goal. So basically he dribbled by a player into the box, did a nice, give and go with a player, and then finished from a very tight angle with, I believe, his left foot. So that was, really encouraging to see, Pat. And it's kind of the perfect time for him to be, finding his feet again over in Denmark.
Yeah, completely agree. With an exciting tournament coming up. But yeah, it seems like Amon's kind of had to recover, and like all players do, I guess, going through careers, have some times where they get injured, and then it's hard to kind of break back into the lineup. We've seen that multiple times and throughout, not even Americans, but every player in general. So it's good to see him kind of persevere there and come right back on and not only just, play pretty well, but also make a huge impact. And what you said, it was an unfortunate loss, but got a goal there.
Yeah. And I think, looking ahead, and what really excites me about this game and this performance from him is if he is selected for that US U20 World Cup, which is coming up at the end of May here.
Fingers crossed.
Then, yeah, fingers crossed. We hope, he's able to be selected. But I think he'd be a really exciting substitute for that team. We have some really exciting wingers already that we think will get called up to that team, including Konrad de la Fuente, who we've talked a lot about, Uli Jimenez, potentially Tim Weah if they play him at winger. So having a player as electric as Jonathan Amon, coming onto the pitch in the 70th, 80th minute, it's basically just a straight injection of pace. And that really excites me, Pat. I don't know. What do you think about, him playing for the U20s?
No, I'm just kidding. It really excites me too. No, that would be fantastic. I think, again, we saw him briefly for the national team, and that really excites some fans, especially U.S. soccer fans, and just to see him kind of on a level with more of his age. And again, we want to impress all the way up international for all these tournaments, and to see him mesh again with his kind of class there would be really exciting, and to see kind of the combinations.
Yeah, and honestly, if he's brought up as well as Tim Weah, maybe we'll see Josh Sargent brought up, just because he hasn't, been getting really any time for Bremen. We also have Sebastian Soa at striker, and I'm bringing that up to basically say maybe Tim Weah has played as a winger, but also with Uli Yanez, Konrad de la Fuente, potentially Nick Tategui if he's healthy, or if Tab Ramos believes in him. There's a pretty big headache for Tab Ramos to see who he'll start at both those winger positions, and I'm not really sure who to really go with, Pat. I don't know, maybe you have an idea.
I wish I did. I think that's a really great headache to have, if you're Tab, just to have these selection of players. And I'm not really sure. It's tough. I wish I had a little more insight, so I'm not sure.
Yeah, I mean it's tough to really see what Tab will do, or which players he'll prioritize, or deem the best out of that crop, because they're all kind of, I would say, on very similar levels. Konrad de la Fuente's the youngest out of the group, and he's potentially the best winger that we have at the moment at that age group. So I think he's got to be a lock starter, maybe on the right. And then,
he's been electric, awesome.
Yeah, he's looked fantastic. And then, you have Tim Weah, who honestly I'd like to see him played at striker, but if we have Sebastian Soto and even Josh Sargent, I don't see how you could play him over, one of those players. And then I would think you'd have to start him as a winger, just because he's, kind of like Jonathan Amon, so electric. And then, you have Uli Yanez, who's been playing really well, is now over in Germany, and really starting to come into his own. And then you have Amon. So it'll be definitely an interesting, U20 World Cup. I think this will be, the best chance we have to win one. I don't know if we're up to that quality just yet. Right. But I think this tournament, that should definitely, be our goal. I don't think we should overlook the group stage, but it should definitely be, our end point, our end goal.
I think that's a good point with Amon and all the other players you brought up. It's really exciting. I think this might be one of the most, correct me if I'm wrong, potent U20 groups that we've had in a while. That I really firmly believe, like you said, they could make a serious run and really show the international stage that America's here for real this time. Yeah,
it's been fun to watch these U20 cycles. I would say the past 2 years, or excuse me, the past two cycles, I've really kind of, started to monitor the U20, age group, and just seeing them come up. Like 2015, I thought we had a pretty good team. Then 2017, I thought we had, an even better team. And now looking back, I think, this team's a lot better than that 2017 team, Pat. So it's just, really exciting. And, we both can't wait to watch the U20 World Cup coming up. It'll be fun.
That's right.
So, now let's go back over to England and the championship and talk about a player we brought up a few minutes ago. And who would that be, Pat?
That's right, Austin. It's none other than Antonee Robinson. So another player, like I mentioned, involved over the weekend, helped Wigan avoid relegation, even though they're a little more safe in 18th place. But they drew against Birmingham 1-1. And from some of the highlights and tidbits I was able to catch, Antonee looked dominant. Really pacey going forward, full of ideas, Austin, very inventive, picking out some key passes, and his crosses, as we've known before and we've witnessed, are pretty exciting, I guess. I'm trying to think of another word, but he puts a very good spin and power on those crosses and great deliveries. Unfortunately, his teammates weren't able to capitalize on some of his chances that created. He could have had an assist or two. But nonetheless, Antonee has had a really good end to this season here. I want to mention this key stat, Austin. There's been 10 consecutive matches now where he's gone 90 minutes since his rough ankle injury. I forget which account, that might have been USMNT videos or one of those accounts that we follow with great content. So, yeah, I mean, that's an impressive stat in its own. Just to, he was out for a while, and just to get back to where he was, it really seems like he's ending his year on that level. Yeah,
and that's good to see because, the past few times we saw him in a USMNT shirt, he looked a little shaky. But I feel like, Pat, and I said this to you off camera, I feel like he plays a lot better for his club team than he does, on the international stage, which I don't know what to make of that. I'm not sure if that's a good thing, if it's just, his inexperience and just, his inconsistency. But
yeah, hopefully it's not the Timmy Chandler curse, Austin.
Yeah, I hope not. We don't need another Timmy Chandler situation. Yeah, I definitely hope he'll come around on the international level. But it looks like from the highlights, like you said, Pat, he looked, really good in this game, really dangerous.
Yeah, and again, from this game and the past games we talked about too, we mentioned our quick kick segments. He's, again, performing week in and week out, especially, for this last month or two. Just, again, his crosses seem to be great, and his forward play is fantastic. I just like to see a little more work on his 1v1 defending and positional awareness, things like that. When things get hectic, especially from the time of watching championship game soccer's, where it almost turns into beehive looking. But when things get hectic, which happens in all games, just to see him kind of keep his composure and not dive in as much, things like that. And I think what would be really better suited for him, Austin, and I want to harp on this again, he's still only 21, surprisingly, which doesn't feel like he is at all, at least in my opinion. He's not turning 22 till August, Austin. And I think it would really suit him well to get another full year in a championship, in the championship for a team maybe not threatened by relegation, but I think, like you mentioned, if you can elaborate too on this, but mid-table championship team, or even someone maybe vying for a spot closer to a promotion.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that at all. I think, right, like you said, the championship might be, the right level at him or for him right now at this time. So yeah, and I don't think, he has any real shot at staying with Everton as even like a backup. I just don't really see that happening, and I think that wouldn't be the best move for him, just because I don't think he'd get consistent minutes in the first team. So, why not, get loaned back to a championship team? And he's shown that he can play at that level. Maybe just, increase, kind of like Matt Miazga, I was saying, increase the level of team or caliber of team.
Right, exactly, Austin. And not to say, like, the championship's very interesting because some of the bottom teams, it's rough, but even in the middle, and there's a lot of games. It's a really physically enduring league. It's not a bad league at all. And some of those top teams were, either just in the Premier League or, going back up, things like that. So it's an interesting mix and a great place to develop, I think, especially for all the points you mentioned for Antonee. And, it's interesting to point out he did sign, just want to mention quick, he signed a 3-year deal last August with Everton, so in 2018. So again, there's some loan moves definitely imminent, and like you mentioned, I don't see him breaking into Everton as much as I'd love that to happen. But maybe if he performs very well, stays healthy next year, maybe Everton will cash in. Maybe I'm not sure, or as much as I really really want him to, and I'd love to get the Everton Antonee Robinson jersey. Making. But
you're a Liverpool fan.
I know.
Oh man,
I'd have to. I don't even know what I'd do. You got the Dortmund, Schalke, I got the Liverpool, Everton. Yeah. I know. I shouldn't be saying that. So hopefully you guys aren't Liverpool fans too.
But yeah. So yeah, we'll see what Antonee does. I feel like he'll always have options because teams like their outside backs with a lot of pace, and that's what Antonee Robinson is. So
that's the future, Austin. It's the future of the position.
Yeah, that's true. So, that's all for this first part of our episode. Now let's head over to Quick Kicks.
All right, guys. I think it's about that time of the show. I know it's Austin and I's favorite time, and I hope it's yours as well. It's none other than Quick Kicks.
So you can test Dwayne Miller. It's Altidore over the wall, and that one is in! Josie Altidore from a long way out. The opening goal for the United States.
So to start off Quick Kicks today, we want to start with Christian Pulisic, who played 12 minutes for Dortmund in their unfortunate 4-2 Revierderby loss to Schalke.
That's tough, Austin, for Christian. But heading over to the Premier League, an Emerson Hyndeman Bournemouth sighting. He entered in the 53rd minute for a 3-3 draw against Southampton. But want to quickly note that he is the first American player 23 and under this season to feature in the Premier League.
Wow, that's pretty cool. And good to see him back on the pitch. And going back to Germany, Taylor Booth started and played 90 minutes, although that was in Bayern's U19's 1-0 loss over the weekend.
That's tough, Austin. And Luca de la Torre for the Premier League 2 in Fulham played 62 minutes in the start and got the game-winning goal in a 1-0 win against Norwich City's U23s.
Nice. And going back to Germany and talking about a player in that same game that I mentioned a little while ago, Chris Richards actually started and played 90 minutes as well for Bayern's U19s in that same 1-0 loss.
And heading over to Spain, Austin, Konrad de la Fuente with another exciting performance. I got to start in 83 minutes played, also picked up an assist. But unfortunately, they lost to Chelsea's U19s in the UEFA Youth League semis there.
Okay. And we want to give a special congrats to Blaine Ferri, who signed his first professional contract for Greuther Fürth last week. So congrats, Blaine, and we hope to see you on the field, for the first team over there at Fürth.
That's awesome for Blaine there. And then heading over to Scotland, Austin, for the Scottish Youth Cup final, Cameron Harper actually scored a goal. But unfortunately, Celtic lost to their bitter rivals, Rangers.
That's always rough. And Michael Edwards started and played 90 minutes for Wolfsburg's U19s in their big 2-0 win over the weekend. And this win actually secured them the A Junioren Bundesliga title, which is kind of their Bundesliga title for their region. So big congrats to Michael, and he's been a big reason for them winning the championship this year.
Awesome. Congrats to Michael there. And Matko Milijevic over for Argentina Juniors got his debut in the 89th minute in a 1-0 win against San Lorenzo in the Copa de Superliga.
Nice. And Chris Gloster started and played all 90 minutes for Hannover 2 in their 1-1 draw over the weekend.
And heading over to Belgium, Ethan Horvath played 90 in a 1-0 win against Anderlecht, and it was his second consecutive clean sheet in the Belgian playoffs.
Nice. And we want to finish our episode today again with another young Ya, and today that would be Andres Jimenez, who is a 19-year-old midfielder who actually just got his pro debut for Envigado over in Colombia. So, really exciting to see, a young American abroad over in South America. So, good stuff, Pat. And as always, guys, thanks for watching our show. Make sure you like this video and subscribe to our channel down below.
That's right, guys. You don't want to miss a single thing, especially with our social media pages on Instagram and Twitter. We're always putting out great content for you guys to view, and feel free to interact in the comments as well.
That's right. And we're really excited for the end of the season here. We got some big tournaments coming up over the summer. The U20 World Cup, which we talked a little bit about today, and I think we'll be definitely trying to keep you guys updated on social media as well for that tournament. And then we also have the Gold Cup this summer, which we're going to try to cover pretty rigorously. So, let us know, what you want to hear, other than that over the summer, and we'll try to put some episodes together during the, kind of the break time for all these teams.
That's right, Austin. It'll be a very active summer for us here at Young Americans Abroad.
That's right. And, all this culminates into one thing, and that would be one day we will win the World Cup.